Hey everyone! Welcome to the Bold and Beautiful 24. I'm Alessio, and I'm so excited to have you here. If you love Bold and Beautiful, then you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Alright, let's dive right in. The Bold and the Beautiful takes another shocking turn when Lee Finnegan, never one to sit idly by when secrets threaten to destroy her family, takes matters into her own hands after weeks of suspicion about Luna Nozawa's pregnancy and the constant drama it has brought into the lives of the Spencers, the Forresters, and the Finnegans. So when Luna insisted over and over again that Will Spencer was the father of her unborn child, Lee felt that the pieces didn't quite add up, especially since she'd overheard tense exchanges between Poppy and Luna that hinted there was more to the story than anyone was admitting, and Lee, being a skilled doctor with easy access to medical facilities, decided she couldn't allow another ticking time bomb of deception to destroy Finn's family, so she quietly arranged for a DNA test, carefully obtaining a discreet sample from Will Spencer under the guise of a routine health check, and pairing it with blood she drew from Luna when she came in for a prenatal checkup, and when the results came back, Lee nearly dropped the folder on the floor because the truth staring back at her was so devastating, so world-shattering, and so deeply tied to the kind of scandal that had always threatened to rip apart families in Los Angeles. "Will, you're not the father," Lee whispered to herself in horror as she realized Luna had built her entire pregnancy narrative on a foundation of lies, manipulation, and desperation, and though Lee wanted to march straight over to Bill Spencer's mansion and hand-deliver the results, she knew this bombshell required precision, timing, and a strategy because not only was Will's heart on the line, but Bill's rage could spiral out of control, Finn's loyalty could be tested, and Steffi's protective instincts could explode, creating an emotional chain reaction that would leave nothing but wreckage behind. So Lee tucked the envelope back into her bag and sat down in her office, trembling with the knowledge that someone else was Luna's baby daddy, but the report was vague in its redacted details, only excluding Will but pointing toward another male with a genetic marker connected to the Spencer or Forrester family tree, and Lee immediately began speculating, could it be Liam, trapped in his own chaotic romantic cycles, whose drunken night at the beach house may have crossed paths with Luna's reckless spiral, or could it be Zend, the Forrester heir who had been entangled with Luna before her obsession with Finn and fixation on Steffi's family escalated, or even more shockingly, could it point toward someone like R.J. Forrester, who had once hovered near Luna's orbit in the design office before distancing himself when her behavior became too erratic, and as Lee sat there grappling with the uncertainty, she realized that no matter what, Luna had lied about Will because Will was the easiest target, the one least able to defend himself emotionally, the one still trying to navigate young adulthood while grappling with his parents' complicated romantic history, and Lee, in her stern, unyielding way, vowed she would protect Will from being used as a pawn in Luna's twisted agenda, and when she finally confronted Luna at Il Giardino, her voice was like steel as she threw the DNA test results down on the table in front of her, shocking Sheila Sharp, who had been seated nearby and raising an eyebrow with interest as Lee declared in a voice that cut through the restaurant noise, "You've been lying to everyone. Will is not the father of your child, and I have the proof to back it up," causing Luna to visibly pale, stammering as her carefully constructed facade began to crumble in front of everyone, while Sheila leaned back, amused yet oddly invested, recognizing that Lee's discovery could change the entire power dynamic in the Finnegan-Spencer-Forrester web, and Luna tried to deflect, insisting the test was a mistake, that Lee must have tampered with it out of hatred, but Lee calmly reminded her that the hospital's lab had no bias and that science didn't lie, and with that, the scandal began to spread like wildfire across Los Angeles, with word reaching Bill Spencer first, who stormed into the Forrester office with the kind of volcanic rage only Bill could summon, his voice booming as he demanded Luna tell him exactly who the real father was, while Will stood behind him, visibly shaking, humiliated, and heartbroken that the baby he had been preparing to raise, the baby he had defended against everyone's doubts, wasn't his at all, and Katie rushed in trying to console her son as he broke down in tears, accusing Luna of ruining his life, and in that moment Will's innocence collided with the brutal reality of adult deception, leaving Katie furious at Luna but also seething at Lee for choosing such a public and humiliating reveal, even though Lee believed the harsh truth was better than prolonging the lie, and Finn, caught in the crossfire, tried to reason with Luna, demanding answers about who the real father was, but Luna, terrified and cornered, refused to say, only crying that she had done it to protect the baby, that she thought Will was the safest option, which only infuriated everyone further, while Steffi seized the opportunity to unleash her rage. warning Luna that manipulating a Spencer and dragging the Forresters and Finnegans into a scandal this dark would have consequences she could never escape, and in the background, Sheila quietly smirked because she knew that this kind of chaos could either break Finn and Steffi apart or cement their bond depending on how the truth unfolded, and Lee, ever the strategist, decided she wasn't finished digging because the test results hinted at a Spencer connection but didn't name names, so she secretly authorized a deeper test, expanding the genetic comparisons across Liam, Wyatt, and even Bill, knowing that whichever match came back would detonate an even bigger bombshell than the one she'd already dropped, and as Luna fled in tears, Will collapsed in his mother's arms, sobbing that he had lost everything, while Bill vowed revenge not just for his son but for the public humiliation Luna had caused, setting the stage for an all-out war of truth, betrayal, and retribution that would ripple through every family on the Bold and the Beautiful. But of course, Lee Finnegan wasn't the type of woman to stop at partial answers, so even after she delivered the gut punch to Luna by revealing that Will Spencer wasn't the father, she knew in her heart that the true secret, the identity of the real father, was the ticking time bomb still waiting to explode, and so while Luna tried to regroup, hiding out in her mother Poppy's apartment and refusing to answer calls from Bill, Katie, or even Finn, Lee quietly pushed forward with her expanded testing. Because she had the medical resources and the determination to uncover the truth that everyone else was too emotional or too afraid to face, and when the results came back a few days later, Lee found herself staring at the paper with wide, unblinking eyes because the answer was worse than she ever imagined. The test pointed straight to Liam Spencer, Will's older brother, Hope Logan's ex-husband, and the man who had already broken too many hearts to count, and the reality that Luna had been hiding Liam's paternity under the guise of Will's innocent loyalty was enough to make Lee feel sick, because she realized that not only had Luna destroyed Will's world but she had dragged Liam into a scandal that could ripple across every corner of Los Angeles, especially since Liam had been in no condition to responsibly parent another child after years of bouncing between Steffi and Hope, and the idea that he could now be tied to Luna forever by a baby sent Lee into a fury that made her consider whether she should bury the results or reveal them, but Lee was never one to coddle liars, so she arranged a family gathering under the pretense of needing to clear the air, inviting Bill, Katie, Will, Steffi, Finn, and even Sheila, who inserted herself with that sly smile and claimed she was there as family support, but secretly relishing the chaos about to unfold, and when Luna walked into the room, already defensive and shaking, Lee dropped the second bombshell like a surgeon making a precise incision, holding up the manila envelope and saying with clinical detachment, "The real father of Luna's baby is Liam Spencer," causing the entire room to erupt in gasps, shouts, and stunned silence, as Bill's jaw clenched so hard it looked like he might break a tooth while Will staggered back, devastated beyond words that his own brother was the one who had gotten Luna pregnant, and Katie turned white with shock, struggling to breathe as she looked between her two sons, the innocent one who had been manipulated, and the reckless one who had once again destroyed lives with his lack of control, and Steffi exploded with fury, screaming that Liam had not only betrayed Hope and herself yet again but now had brought this toxic situation into her marriage with Finn by fathering a child with Luna, a woman who had already been obsessed with Finn and targeted Steffi in dangerous ways, and Finn stood frozen, his stomach turning at the thought that his half-brother-in-law had now created a permanent bond with his unstable daughter, leaving him torn between his medical oath, his paternal instincts, and his loyalty to Steffi, while Sheila, leaning against the wall, smirked with unholy glee at the disaster unfolding, whispering under her breath that fate had delivered her the kind of chaos she usually had to create herself, and when Liam finally walked in, summoned by Bill's furious phone call, he looked completely blindsided as Lee shoved the papers into his hands and declared, "You can't deny this, your DNA matches Luna's baby, and science doesn't lie," leaving Liam stammering, insisting he barely remembered the night in question, claiming Luna had shown up distraught, that he had been drunk, that it wasn't what anyone thought, but no one wanted excuses, especially not Hope, who had arrived just in time to hear the devastating truth, her face crumpling in betrayal as she realized Liam had once again dragged her heart through the mud by sleeping with another woman, and this time not just any woman but Luna Nozawa, a woman connected to Finn and Steffi, making the web of entanglement even more grotesque, and as Hope fled the room in tears, Bill erupted at Liam, roaring that he had humiliated their family and betrayed his own younger brother in the cruelest way possible, while Will collapsed into Katie's arms, sobbing that Liam had ruined everything, and Katie's own fury boiled over as she slapped Liam across the face and told him he was dead to her until he proved he could be more than the selfish man who kept wrecking lives, and Steffi, shaking with rage, turned to Finn and warned that this was exactly why she wanted Luna nowhere near their family, because Luna wasn't just manipulative, she was destructive, aligning herself with the same patterns of betrayal that Liam had inflicted on them all four. years, and though Finn wanted to argue, he couldn't find the words because deep down he knew Steffi was right, that this baby connected him to a nightmare he couldn't untangle, and in the corner, Sheila clapped slowly, sarcastically, saying that at least now they all knew the truth and maybe they should thank Lee for ripping off the bandage, which only earned her a death glare from Lee, who reminded everyone that she hadn't revealed the truth to cause pain but to protect the family from being strung along by Luna's lies, and as Luna finally broke down, sobbing that she had only claimed Will as the father to protect her child from Liam's chaos and the inevitable fallout, the room erupted into more accusations, with Bill vowing to take Luna to court and strip her of any power over the child, Liam begging for another chance to prove he could step up, Hope swearing she would never forgive him, and Steffi insisting she and Finn had to cut all ties to Luna for their own safety, while Finn, torn and devastated, looked at Lee with haunted eyes, realizing that her actions, however brutal, had saved them all from sinking further into lies, but had also left them with scars that might never heal, setting the stage for the next chapter of war, betrayal, and impossible choices on the bold and the beautiful. The aftermath of Lee's shocking revelation that Liam Spencer, not Will, was the father of Luna Nozawa's unborn child hit Los Angeles like an earthquake, and the aftershocks were immediate, vicious, and far-reaching, because Bill Spencer was not a man who tolerated betrayal lightly, especially when it involved his sons. And now one son had been humiliated and used while the other had recklessly sired a child with a woman Bill considered toxic and dangerous, so Bill unleashed his fury in the only way he knew how, by swearing revenge in both the courts and in the court of public opinion, vowing to drag Luna through a custody war that would make her regret ever trying to tie herself to his family, and while Katie begged him to slow down for Will's sake, arguing that their son needed healing, not more public scandal, Bill's determination only grew because he felt this was about protecting Will, protecting the Spencer legacy, and making sure Liam faced consequences for once in his life, so within days, Bill had his legal team drafting motions to secure custody of Luna's unborn child the moment it was born, declaring that neither Luna nor Liam were fit to parent, and the rumor of the impending custody battle spread quickly through Forrester Creations, causing whispers and side-eyes in the design office as Zend and RJ muttered that Luna's ambition had finally detonated on her, while Brooke and Ridge debated whether supporting Liam would damage Hope further, since Hope was already spiraling after learning Liam had betrayed her yet again, and Steffi, standing in her cliff house with Finn, seethed that Liam's mess had once again infected her life, pointing out that if Bill won custody, Liam would still be tied to Luna through visitation and endless legal battles, which meant Steffi would never be free of Luna's shadow, and Finn, exhausted, could only sink into a chair, wondering aloud how his family had descended into this abyss, with his stern motherly reminding him that she had tried to prevent this very disaster by exposing the truth before Luna's lies went any deeper, yet even Lee admitted privately that unleashing Bill's wrath might spiral the situation beyond anyone's control, and meanwhile Luna herself, huddled in Poppy's apartment, was unraveling fast, her mascara smeared from nights of crying, her phone buzzing constantly with calls she refused to answer, her hands trembling as she stared at her ultrasound photo and whispered to the baby that she would protect it no matter what, even as she admitted aloud that she didn't know how much longer she could keep fighting, because everywhere she turned someone was condemning her, and though Poppy tried to console her daughter, telling her they'd find a way through this, Luna snapped at her mother in frustration, blaming her for raising her in chaos, blaming her for not protecting her from Lee, blaming her for letting her spiral into this mess with Finn, with Will, with Liam, and Poppy's tears only hardened Luna further, convincing her that she was truly alone and that everyone, from Lee to Steffi to Bill, was conspiring to destroy her, which planted a dark seed in her mind that maybe the only way to survive was to fight fire with fire, and as Bill marched into the courthouse with his lawyers to file his petitions, Liam stumbled into Il Giardino, drowning himself in whiskey while Sheila Sharp watched with cat-like curiosity, leaning over his table to mock him for creating chaos that even she couldn't have planned better, but in her twisted way she also whispered advice, urging Liam not to roll over and let Bill